One, two, three, four. What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. How are you doing? Episode 37. How you doing? Babylon 5 Podcast. If you didn't hear the first time, back again. Week 37, episode 37. And I'm here for you until the wheels stop turning, ladies and gentlemen. Here for you until the wheels stop turning. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys social medias if you guys want to be a little more involved with what your boys got going on here. If you want to follow the podcast on Instagram or Twitter, the handle is at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal accounts on Instagram or Twitter or Twitter, it's at my name's Jermaine. You can email the podcast at babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, nigga, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. You feel me? Pretty much anywhere them joints be streaming. Just search Babylon 5 Podcast and you'll find me. All right? Babble on 5 Podcast. And you'll find your boy. You'll find us, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find us. We're a community, you know? We're a community. Thank you guys for rocking with me weekly. I appreciate all of you. Real random. I was looking at I have like the Spotify for artists, and I was like looking at it, and it's not like high numbers at all. But I was like, oh shit, I'm getting plays in like the Netherlands and shit like that. The Netherlands. And I was like, that's cool. That's fucking cool. Cause you know a nigga was learning Dutch. I said was because yeah. I mean, I did a lesson the other day, but I took a break. Pretty much since the pandemic started, I kind of fell off with the Dutch. It was just like, let's see if I even get the chance to travel, my nigga, before I even give two more fucks to this language over here. Who knows? Who knows? Not to be dark or anything, but if you guys want to play your boy in some little Xbox One, if you got Xbox One, if you don't, buy one. Add your boy on Xbox. My gamer tag is SaucedBoss414. If you want to go ahead and add your boy. If you want to check out the merchandise, it's teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. If you want to watch me play, it's twitch.tv/Babylon5. And if you guys want to be my patrons, and get the exclusive podcast, I do the vlogs, which is Babylon 5, I Digress. I mean, I was going to pretend just now like, oh my God, I forgot to upload I Digress 2. But I'm fully aware that I did not upload that one yet. I don't even have any patrons yet, so there's no rush. All right. So I'll probably do it after this. I'll just like, because I had to do it in two parts because I just like, I heard a noise and it threw me off and I spaced out and I was like, fuck, I got to stop the whole recording. And I had to go back and watch and then go back in. So that's what that happened. So I just didn't upload it because I was too lazy in piecing that together. So that's where that is. If I was not a lazy person, I would have uploaded that already. But I'm going to get it there. So you can go ahead and be my patrons. You can go to patreon.com/Babylon5. There's a few tiers there. You'll get exclusive podcasts. You get some music that I'm working on now. I was gonna upload there's a new song I was working on, but I was gonna upload Kitchen, some of the older stuff that I don't know. First off, I'm gonna give you niggas some older stuff. Then I can give you niggas some drafts of some shit. But be my patrons. You get some song drafts. You get the I Digress, Babylon 5, I Digress, Part 2 is going to be coming soon, or uploaded soon. It's already recorded. But yeah, that's there. And I think I'm going to put this video here on YouTube without, like, just public. I think I'm going to make it public because I made the last one as just the Patreon thing, just for the vlog. But I mean, if you get I Digress, which is just raw, all right? No scripts, ladies and gentlemen. It's just raw, all right? It's like Monday Night in the 90s, all right? Raw. You know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Raw. I'm talking about Old Dirty Bastard, ladies and gentlemen. Raw. I'm talking about how did me and you get here? Raw. I'm talking about D-Generation X. I know I just mentioned Monday Night Raw. You know? So I'm really feeling that. Yeah. Oh, baby, I like it raw. I don't even know why I went on that tangent. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Because it's raw. Because I Digress is raw, ladies and gentlemen. No scripts. No scripts. I go in there with intention. I don't just press record and just start going off on some shit. Just like whatever. I mean, I did ponder that. I pondered doing a vlog where I just go to Twitter and I look at the trending topics and I babble about those trending topics. That still might happen, actually. I think that's a pretty solid idea. But I digress. Yeah, so you'll get those raw, uncut, bigger, longer, and uncut vlogs on if you become a patron. So go to patreon.com/Babylon5. You know? I would suggest becoming a $20 VIP patron just because, that's where you get all access to everything. That's the vlogs and the music. And, and then you get to, we get to do an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Yeah. You get to be a part of this podcast. And that'd be pretty cool. I look forward to that more than anything. Just, the interactive aspect of it all, which would take place on I Digress. We'll be giving it to you raw. You feel me? I was thinking, like, this episode, I'm going to take it to talk, this is going to be all MMA, ladies and gentlemen. It's all MMA. That's all we're talking about this week. And I think that's all we should talk about this week. As, like, the weeks have progressed, the one constant, the one for me that I've seen that's been steadily in the news is just the MMA world. And I think that's pretty dope. In some ways that it's not, but I think it's pretty cool that I hitched my wagon I hitched my wagon to this horse or some shit. Is that the right saying? I hitched my wagon to the right donkey, the right rhinoceros. I don't know common sayings. I remember niggas was talking about shit'll cost you like a horse a piece or some shit like that. Nigga, I ain't never heard no shit like that. We don't say that in the hood, nigga. We don't say that in the hood. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we don't say that. So we're going to talk about MMA because it's been in the news. And I'm proud that I hitched my wagon or hitched my horse to that wagon. Is it my horse? Did I hitch my horse to that wagon? Maybe that's what it was. Anywho. But I've weekly talked about MMA with you guys. And I was like, do I feel like people are annoyed by this? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Because I feel like you niggas need to be watching MMA. You need to be watching MMA. You need to be watching some kind of combat sports and maybe even training. Why not? Why not? Why not? I'm not a, my wife, she for the longest didn't want to do jiu-jitsu, but we fit, as I mentioned before, and she was doing the boxing over there. And now she's like, yo, I do a boxing class. Cause it's like, it's fun. It's a good workout and you're learning some shit. You're learning a little self-defense. It feels good. Why not? I think everybody should just try it out. Just try it out one time. I think everybody would enjoy. I'm just of that opinion, you know? And I think right here in my household, it's been proven, you know? Right here in the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. Pandemic 2020. It's been shown and proven. You know what I found out the other day? Random note. I found out that Bert and Ernie aren't gay. That they're just puppets and that they don't exist below the waist. So, and I never saw that quote before. Maybe I did, maybe I forgot. But I was like, that's fucking interesting. My whole life I had been told that those two guys were gay. I had never thought about it, but then somebody told me that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw they asked the creator and he was like, dude, they're puppets. They don't exist on like below the waist. I was like, oh, that's more of a logical answer right there. They're puppets, my nigga. Like, anywho, that's a random thing there. You know, I saw a post. It was like a meme or whatever your kids call it these days. I heard like 3 niggas in my life call them memes, and I love it. I love it every time I hear it. It tickles my insides, my nigga. Like in my chest somehow, like right here or some shit. Like I just get like a tickly, like I'm being tickled, like right here. I feel like I'm gonna just throw a pause in there. And I love it. All right, I love it. It makes me laugh. Some motherfuckers say memes. So I saw a meme that was like, what made you get into MMA, you know? And I was thinking, I don't know, you know, because I think it's pretty clouded in how I really got into MMA, if you will, because like I know that like when I was younger, I watched like Floyd Mayweather. And younger than that, I would watch like Lennox Lewis. Big fan of Lennox Lewis. I would watch, you know, a lot of boxers. So there was a transition into MMA, but as I tried to look into it in the history of like, what are some things that were when I started to really start to go week to week and try to dedicate myself. I thought it was around the time that I wanted to say Conor fought Dustin Poirier, but I think it goes back before then. Maybe I just wasn't. Maybe I wasn't aware of who Conor was because I remember I looked back when that Conor Poirier fight was. And that was, I remember thinking when I saw Conor coming out and like gyrating and dancing, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? You know? He wasn't dancing in an Adesanya type, like I've been doing this my whole life, and now here's my crew that I've grown up with. This is my dance crew. And this was me just doing some cocky ass gyrating. Like, it was the most disrespectful shit I've ever seen come into the ring or come into the octagon. And it's not like you know what I'm saying, I've never seen a cocky fighter, but just like, I didn't even know who this guy was. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think it was before the Poirier fight, but it might have been the Poirier fight when he came out and did that. But he went out there, and I'm thinking, like, this dude's about to get his ass beat. And, my nigga, you better win. You know, this is my thoughts. Like, you better win. You coming out here looking like that, dancing like that. And even in the, like, lead up, I think I've gone back and seen the fight. And now that I'm more aware of Conor, I think I see his movements walking to the octagon differently than I viewed them the first time I ever saw Conor walk to the octagon. I think when I look back, I think that's just like, maybe there was a little bit of dancing in there, but I think it was just him more so getting loose, just staying loose. You know what I'm saying? And not so much on the cocky side. I think he was just staying loose. And he went out there and got a first round knockout, got a first round finish. So I think he was just, I think, because I've tried to go back and see, like, which fight was that where he comes out dancing and I was like, dude, this motherfucker. And I can't find it. So I think, like, if that was the fight that really, like, clicks for me and got me into MMA, I was just, like, unfamiliar with what I was seeing at the time. And it got my attention for the wrong reasons, but it ultimately ended up being the right reasons, I would say, because now I'm here. I would say, like, so yeah, when I was like 17 and my youth pastor showed me like those GSP fights, I think I've talked about this in some aspects, but I thought about it the other day, and I was like, it was definitely Conor who got me into it. But as I was looking into it, it was like, fuck, dude, am I a fucking poser? Because as I'm looking more into it, and I was thinking about the fact that I just saw the Gaethje Alvarez fight, and I'm looking through all these like headline fights, looking at these cards, and I'm like, I haven't seen all these fights, but I've seen all the Ronda Rousey fights. I'm like, fuck, I'm a casual. I was a fucking casual. Like, I'm like, what really got me into the sport? And it was like, probably 40%, probably 35% fucking Conor McGregor, 65% fucking Ronda Rousey. And that's just how it was. I remember when I started seeing women's MMA and like good women's MMA, not just like two females throwing hands. That's not just what I wanted to see. Like, just skilled fucking fighters, like some fucking Kat Zingano, fucking Amanda Nunes out there. Like, that's high level fighting out there. Fucking, what's her name? Miesha Tate, the Ronda Rouseys of the world. Like, that fucking shit, I was like, holy, this is amazing. I had never seen such high level fighting from women, especially, not with such a spotlight. So like that definitely drew me into MMA. Just the rise of women's MMA actually drew me in. I'd say more than any of the male fight, more than Conor McGregor. It was just like the rise of women's MMA drew me in. There's a reason I say that. There's a reason why the fight with Holly Holm, where Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey, at that point, like, set the record, like broke and set the highest record for gate. Like, it was like the highest watched pay-per-view at that point. I remember people were posting on Facebook, like, let's play a drinking game, take a shot every second until Ronda Rousey wins the fight. And I was saying to people, like, yo, this fight isn't gonna go that way. All right, it's not gonna go that way. Because I was looking at Ronda Rousey's sloppy boxing. Or not even box. I don't think she really knows any boxing. It's like she does like striking, like MMA striking, but like in a weird way. I don't know what she's doing. So I don't think there's any boxing in there, any real boxing at all. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, there's no boxing in there with Ronda Rousey. So, and when I look at Holly Holm, who's like a 14-time like kickboxing champion, I was like, this lady is about to embarrass Ronda Rousey on the feet. Like, and that's what she would. Because when I looked at her style, how she'll like, she's just like super quick, hit you with like 2 to 3 strikes, like 2 punches, and then whah, hit you with a leg kick, and you don't even. It's just like so quick, and then like, even if that doesn't knock you down, she moves so quickly. Like, you're in no way in space to counter, to retaliate, to get some kind of retribution for what's happening. She just is so quick in the kickboxing with her Muay Thai. Her strikes are so fast. I was like, this fight is not gonna go that way, ladies and gentlemen. And sure enough, she beat the shit out of Ronda Rousey, and that was one of the highest watched fights. So I don't feel like it's not like I don't feel like I'm alone in that. Women's MMA brought a lot of people into like watching like the UFC or just more UFC or more mixed martial arts in general. I would say the rise of women's MMA is definitely the main thing that brought me in to MMA when I was young. As I'm looking into it, I also want to say that like around like 17, 16, 17, that would be like, so before that, like my whole life, I'd been a WWE fan. And around 16, 17 is when I became so annoyed with the repetitive nature of it all. It would be like Triple H just dominating every week, and he'd throw the guy to the ropes, cut through the knee, and then fucking power slam, and then here comes fucking the pedigree. And it was just like this repetitive thing over and over again with WWE. I didn't know about like New Japan Pro Wrestling at the time. I probably would have, if at the time, if I had known about New Japan Pro Wrestling and had I seen it and seen that some of my like favorite wrestlers from back in the day had actually been over there and like doing things, I probably would have been way more into like the Japan stuff and probably would have stayed a wrestling fan and probably might not even be here talking to you right now. But I mean, I just try to look at things like the butterfly effects. Change one thing, change everything. So I might not even be here talking to you guys. But I didn't get into New Japan, which is more of a physical shoot fighting, more of a realistic play on pro wrestling. I'll say a little more entertaining. But so at that point, I had that void. I went pretty heavy into like like NFL, went pretty heavy in the NBA, got real heavy into like fantasy football. I used to know every player on the Packers. I was talking to this kid, he's my coworker's son. He was he was working with us the other night. And I was talking to him about fantasy football, and I was like, man, it got to a point where I pretty much knew the name of every player on each active roster because it mattered. It mattered, dude. Like, what is it, a 53, 52 man roster? And I knew like pretty much every single player on those rosters. There were no surprises for me at a certain time when I was like deep into like fantasy. I was like in like 7 different fantasy football leagues. What was it, 5? I might be exaggerating. I think it was like 5 fantasy football leagues. And at one time. And it got pretty confusing because some were PPR, some weren't. It was all different rules. And I would try to I would set my roster for here and then set my roster similar in another league, but like that roster like doesn't work in this league because it's different ways to score points in this league. It was pretty confusing, and I think maybe that burned me out with a lot of it. I mean, maybe, having like pretty much just being aware of pretty much like it's like 1,000 maybe more players that I was just like aware of at all times during the football season. New players that get signed, I'm looking at news, like I'm following every single team. I got pretty deep into that, and now I'm not. uh, and I don't want to go back. But I'm deep into this MMA. I'm deep into this MMA, my nigga. Um, and I'm glad with that, you know. And I had the Conor McGregor's that drew me in. Right now, I got like people. Right now, because I watch so much of it, I'm not. I'm happy in a way that there's been a break from MMA, so that I can go back and watch a lot of the older fights I've watched. I just watched Anthony Pettis versus Donald Cerrone's first fight, because the fight coming up this Saturday is a rematch, and Anthony Pettis finishes Donald Cerrone in the first round with shots to the body. It's like hit him with like 3 or 4 good body kicks, and he just finished Cerrone early. It was like a 2-minute fight. Nobody talks about that. A lot of people were saying, because I was watching the pros pick, like who they think is gonna win, you know, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I think Cerrone's just too big for him. He's so strong." Blah blah blah. They would say these things, and I'm like, "Well, do they know that Pettis won the first fight?" I hadn't even seen it at that point. Hadn't even seen it. But I'm like, do they know that Pettis won the first fight? And then when I just watched it and how he just straight mollywopped Donald Cerrone in the first fight, and I think he's gotten bigger because he was this was a while ago. He's a relatively small guy. This is like back in the day when he was like coming off fighting 140 at 145 pounds. I don't think he was the yeah, I think this is before the Wheaties box. This is before he was the 155 champ. I'm pretty sure. He's a pretty small guy in there. And yeah, it's just interesting that people would actually think that Cerrone stands a chance in this fight. I think Cerrone's going to suffer his 4th straight loss in there. I'm jumping around, but like I was just watching that. That's one thing that I'm happy about, is that I can go back and rewatch some fights that I haven't seen before and appreciate some fighters I didn't have as much appreciation for. So that's one thing that I am happy about. So when I think about what really got me into MMA, it's the women's fighting. It's Conor McGregor. It's the more charismatic fighters, people like John Jones, who can just go out there and be innovative and do real flashy things. Anderson Silva definitely had me enthralled. I almost think that like I've seen GSP fight, but when I look at his fighting style, I almost feel like I just throw GSP's name out there as a proxy. Like I'm just a fucking casual, and it's like, oh yeah, GSP is one of my favorite. It's like just a thing to say, you know. But I've seen some of his fights, like maybe his last 2 or 3 fights I've seen before he retired. And when I say that, I include the Michael Bisping fight. You know what I'm saying? Where he just came back to fight for the 185-pound belt and then retired again. I'm including that fight. So I've only seen like maybe his last 2 or 3 fights. I think before that, what was that? Was it Shields? Not Shields. Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks. I think he fought Johnny Hendricks. So I saw him fight Johnny Hendricks, and then I saw him fight Michael Bisping. That's what I saw. And I mean, what did he knock out Michael Bisping? I think so. Maybe submitted him. No, he submitted him. I think he choked him out. Yeah, he got him the guillotine. I think that's how that ended. Anywho, I just threw that. I think most people just throw certain fighters. It's like if you watch basketball, you're gonna throw a Michael Jordan. You know, if you're a football fan, you're gonna say something like Tom Brady. fucking I'd say Brett 5. Brett 5. Ew. But, and I think when it comes to MMA, people would say something like GSP, Fedor, Fedor. Let's just say Fedor. I am fucking slaughtering that man's name. So Fedor, you would say, who's the best ever? I think it's interesting. I'm not saying Khabib isn't one of the pound for pound best, but it's funny that if you beat Conor McGregor, well, it's funny if you become a hype train like Conor McGregor, you get put on the pound for pound greatest. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't, but then if you go ahead and beat that hype train, you then like you're bolted up on, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how high Khabib was on the pound for pound list before fighting Conor McGregor, or before it being a situation where he was guaranteed. Where, like, I'm saying before he beat Iaquinta and became the champion, where was Khabib on the pound for pound list prior to beating Iaquinta? Let me know where Khabib was on that list before it was pretty much inevitable that he was going to fight Conor McGregor, before it was marketable to make him higher on the pound for pound list. Let me know that. That's my question here. That's my question here. I wanna just wait 1 second here. Another reason why I didn't upload I Digress is because in I Digress I wanted to talk about the fight cards that were announced, and as I started to talk, and I was like, I said there's no script, so I started to talk about it. I go on my phone, started looking up what the fights are, and turns out they did not announce any of the fights. They did not announce any fights at all at the time, so that's why I didn't upload it. They've since uploaded fights, and I'm going to talk about all those cards right here. We're going to talk about the May 9th, we're going to talk about May 13th, and we're going to talk about May 16th. They're doing a card on this upcoming Saturday on May 9th. It'll be a pay-per-view, UFC 249. And then on Wednesday, the following Wednesday, there will be Fight Night, UFC Fight Night. And then on that following Saturday, there will be another Fight Night. It's pretty wild. I did not realize that too much before, but there's 3 fight cards in a matter of fucking 7 days. So that's cool. Or is it 8? 8 days? How does that work? I'm not the smartest man. I am not a smart man. Is that what Forrest Gump said? I don't know. What card are we gonna talk about here first? Let's talk about the card that I'm least interested in. Actually, I mean, that's not fair. That's not fair. Actually, let me go to UFC Stats, if you guys will indulge me. I don't know. Nope. So UFC Stats, it's a website. It's ufcstats.com. I like to use it just to make predictions, help with my predictions. And they only have stats for UFC 249, which is usually how it goes. So I'm not surprised on that. I was just hoping that for this rare time given the situation, that they would put stats on everyone. But let's talk about the May. Let's go all the way out to May 16th. All right, May 16th. You got the main event is Alistair Overeem taking on Walt Harris, and I was talking about this on the I Digress. When I was recording I Digress, I was watching Alistair Overeem in his last fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is taking on Francis Ngannou this upcoming Saturday. Just a little side note. And I was saying how great Alistar looked in that fight, and he did ultimately lose with just a few seconds left in the fight. He got hit with a punch that just like shattered his lip, just shattered part of his face open. So the ref had to stop the fight where he was going to win. Just give it a few more seconds, but his face was ripped open, so they had to stop the fight. As I said, I'm not too familiar with Walt Harris here. You know, I haven't really seen him fight. I saw him fight Verdum, which, let's see here, that was back in 2017, where he lost by armbar pretty quickly in the first round. A minute into the first round, pretty much. Then he lost to Mark Godbeer the same night where GSP beat Michael Bisping that I mentioned earlier. He lost via disqualification, apparently. Did an illegal kick, probably kicked a down opponent in the head or something like that. That's usually the situation. So if they say illegal kick, he probably kicked a down opponent. So since then, Walt Harris has fought Daniel Spitz, and he won second round knockout. There was a no contest against Andrei Arlovsky. I'm not sure how the result was prior to the no contest. I'm not sure what happened there. Then you got Sergey Spivak. He fought I like Sergey Spivak, and he beat Spivak in the first round. 50 seconds into the first round, he knocked out Sergey Spivak. So that says Sergey Spivak's pretty nice. And then Alexei Oleinik, he knocked out Alexei Oleinik in 12 seconds. Okay. All right. I'm interested, Walt. I'm interested in this fight. He knocked out Alexei Oleinik in 12 seconds. He knocked out Sergey Spivak in 50 seconds. I think he's on like a 4-fight win streak. I'm interested. This could be a pretty good fight at heavyweight. Could really boost somebody up there. I think the winner of this fight should probably maybe take on Volkanov. Yeah, take on Volkanov. But yeah, I think that'll be a really, really good fight. In the main event, in the co-main, you got Claudia Gadelha taking on Angela Overkill Hill. As you could probably tell by how I just said that there, I'm just a fucking casual, bro. Like, I'm a fan. I mean, I like Claudia Gadelha. I'm a fan of Claudia. And she's my prediction here for this fight. I think Claudia actually is going to win this fight. If I'm not mistaken, she recently switched up her camp, really like stepped up on her striking, and she's just like really improved on her overall game. But mainly her stand up is where she's really improved, made the changes, and I think she's going to just be a better fighter. I think Angela Hill is really good with her stand up. I think she is. I mean, as she was talking about it on the Joe Rogan podcast, at this point, she's a little seasoned. She's 35. She's had some fights, but I'd still say she's still a bit green. I'm surprised she was able to beat Hannah Seifers, to be honest. I think Hannah Seifers is a little more skilled, but I mean, if you catch somebody, if you're quicker, if it's your night, it's your night. Let's just say that. I'm not even taking anything away from Angela Overkill Hill. I'm a fan and I would love to see her win this fight. I'm rooting for her to win this fight, but my prediction for that fight would be that Claudia Gadelha is just going to be the better fighter in there, and I think I would not say Claudia finishes her. I think Claudia wins that fight with a decision, with a 3rd-round decision. 3-round decision, Claudia Gadelha. Fight before that, very interesting fight. Edson Barboza moves down to 145 pounds to take on Dan Ige. I'm not too familiar with EA. Let's look at his resume here. He's Hawaiian, eh? Dan Ige, Hawaiian, 5'7", fights 145 pounds. He beat Mirsad Bektik 1, 2, 3, 4. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He's beat Jordan Griffin out of Milwaukee. Danny Henry, Kevin Aguilar. Okay. All right. He's on a 5-fight win streak, Dan Ige. I want to see it. I'm interesting. How tall is Edson Barboza? Barboza 5'11", moving down from 155 pounds. This is going to be his first fight at 145. He's coming on. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. I wasn't so sure that he lost that fight to Paul Felder, but the judges gave it to Felder. But I'd have to watch that again. Maybe I will pretty soon here. Now that I'm thinking about it again, and we got a little bit of time here before we get some more fights. I hope they do. Oh, they can't. I was like, I hope they do an embedded, but I don't think it's possible to have a camera crew like multiple camera crews following around other people in their fight camps that may or may not be illegal activities of like mass groups training together. Can't even have it embedded right now. That's unfortunate. That's real unfortunate. But Edson Barboza moving down to 145 pounds. I think Edson Barboza is about to wreck house at 145 pounds. Who's the fucking biggest threat for Alexander Volkanovski at 145 pounds? Edson Barboza, in my opinion, should be the biggest threat for anyone at 145 pounds. I think that man is dangerous. And I think he's coming in at almost 6 feet there, just about 6 feet tall. Who are some people? You got like Zabit. I think he's about the same. I think Edson Barboza and Max Holloway are about the same height. But I think Edson clearly has some size on everybody in this division. I think the only person that would maybe even be thicker than Barboza would probably be the champion, Alexander Volkanovski, who's 5'6". So I think the biggest threat, the underdog of this division will be Edson Barboza. I think he's going to come in there and wreck Dan Ige. And I think it's going to be a real good fight for Edson Barboza. I think he's the next big thing at 145 pounds if he can make weight. Hopefully, I think everybody's gonna come in a little compromised. Unfortunately, everyone's gonna be a little compromised. Fuck. I just had to see. I thought so. My video just said it just stopped recording. I was like, I should delete the old videos, but I didn't. And now my laptop is out of space. So, and I don't know when that video stopped. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. I almost deleted I Digress. Let me delete this one. I'm not finna start that other one, though, because... Or is that even I Digress? That can't be. Because what is today? That's the 30th here. That's not I Digress. Yeah. Anywho. So, I think Edson Barboza. I'm just going to close this. I think Edson Barboza. No, actually, I kind of want video. Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me empty the trash. It's not even going to let me record. Okay. Here we go. Right back at it. I think Edson Barboza is going to be the biggest threat at 145 pounds. As I just said, I'm just going to get right back into it. Moving on here. We got Eric ya boy Anders taking on Christoph Jocko. I think I've seen Jocko fight a few times. Let's see. I think Eric Anders is a so-so fighter. I don't think he's that great. Jocko just beat Barrialt. I think I saw that fight. Yeah, I definitely saw that fight. The Holloway Edgar. Yeah, I saw that fight. I probably have seen most of these fights, and just at this point, like definitely at the Overeem Olenek, no, or Holloway Edgar 240. I've definitely seen by then. That's what I'm saying. I think when I started to try to watch weekly, it was about like maybe 178 or some shit like that. That's when I was like, yeah, all right, this shit's amazing. So for that fight, I would go with Jocko. I'm gonna go with Jocko beating Eric Anders by second round knockout. That's what I got for that. Next fight, we got Marlon Vera taking on Song Yadong. I got Song Yadong knocking out Marlon Vera. That's my prediction there. Kevin Holland. I fucks with Kevin Holland. I think he needs to... I think if I'm not wrong here, he's usually like pretty goofy out there. I could be wrong. I could be thinking of a different fighter, but... No, yeah, he's the one that fought Thiago Santos. And he's pretty goofy out there. He did pretty good. I thought he looked pretty good against Thiago Santos. He didn't get finished. But I thought like he was way too goofy in there with somebody like Thiago Santos, who's just fucking violence personified, in my personal opinion. Wait, I don't understand what the fuck is going on here. Who's Anthony Hernandez? I thought Anthony Hernandez, I must be wrong. Yeah, okay, so he's taking on... Kevin Holland's taking on this guy, Anthony Hernandez, who I'm completely unfamiliar with. He's coming off of one win. Kevin Holland's coming off of a few wins, I think. No, he's coming off of a lot. He just got choked out by Brendan Allen. The guy trains out of Milwaukee. He trains out of Rufus Sport. Second round, rear naked choke. He cut up Brendan Allen really early, and going into that fight, he was saying how like they were gonna fight on the regional scene, and like Brendan Allen it's unfortunate that was gonna be Brendan Allen's fight because they're on two different levels, and he cut Brendan Allen open early in that fight, and yeah, he cut him open early in that fight, but then Brendan Allen just was tough. And then in the second round, Brendan Allen came in, tuck his back, got the rear naked choke. I remember that now. Otherwise, before that fight, Kevin Holland on a three fight win streak. So prior to that, everything was all rosy Josie, you know. But shout out to your boy Brendan Allen. So in this fight, I think they're trying to just give your boy Kevin Holland one. I think they do that here. They want to keep their hype trains, and I think I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland in here. You got Giga Chikadze versus Mike Davis. I'm gonna go with Giga. I'm not gonna go deep into this. Courtney Casey versus Mara Borella. I think she's the Italian. I think she's the Italian woman, the first Italian-born fighter. Yeah, she is. I'm just rooting for her. Bam. So that's who I'm picking for that. You got Darren Elkins versus Nate Landwehr. I'm gonna go with Darren Elkins. Then you got Dantale Mayes versus Rodrigo Nascimento Fierro. Let's go with Rodrigo. All right, let's go with Rodrigo. Let's move it on. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna go from top to bottom. We're gonna go to Fight Night 171. Smith Teixeira got Chase Sherman versus Isaac Villanueva. That was just added the other day. I'm glad that it's here on SureDog because I put it in my notes that like wasn't sure if this was here, if this is real, but it was reported that fight was added. But here it is on SureDog. Chase Sherman versus... I'm not making a prediction. I don't know these people. I don't know shit about them. Hunter Azure versus Brian Kelleher. If I'm not mistaken, he's the guy who just fought Michelle Pereira. No, I am wrong. He just beat Ode Osborne, who trains out of Milwaukee. And no, but he lost to Montel Jackson. So he was close to losing to two niggas straight out of Milwaukee. That would have been cool. That would have been cool. But he beat Ode. So fuck that nigga. Nah, he's cool. Brian Kelleher's cool. I remember that fight. He's pretty tough. I thought Ode was gonna get him, but he's a tough fighter. Had I think had Kelleher lost that fight, he would have been released from the UFC, and I think he's put in there against this undefeated Hunter Azure, who's probably making his debut. Let's see. No, he's fought here. This is his second fight in the UFC. His debut was September 14th, 2019 against Brad Katona. He was on Dana White's Contender Series. He's undefeated right now, so I think they're just putting him in there to be a stepping stone. I think that's what they wanted him to be against Ode, but Ode it just didn't work. It wasn't Ode's night. So I'm gonna go with Hunter Azure in that fight. You got Sijara Eubanks taking on Sarah Moras. I'm gonna go with Sijara Eubanks in that one. You got Michael Johnson taking on Thiago Moises. I'm gonna go with Michael Johnson. Wait, what is this weight at? What is this fight at? I don't even know. Did I remember nope, I don't have any notes on that. I have notes on the 249 card, but not on this fight. I'm not sure who is this Thiago Moises. Is he one? Oh, he's a 155, so this fight must be at 155. There's no reason why they would move to a different weight class when they both are 155 pound fighters. I'm gonna go with Michael Johnson on that one. You got Andre Arlovsky coming in and taking on Felipe Lins. I'm unfamiliar with Felipe Lins just off of first glance. Nope. First fight in the UFC. He's coming from the PFL. If I would judge it off this, he won because he never lost a fight in the PFL. He lost 2 fights at Bellator. Then he went on to the PFL and did not lose. He's on a 4-fight win streak. So I'm going to go with the young guy to take out Andre Arlovsky. Andre Arlovsky is 41 years old. I mean, he's coming in, though, and I think in the best shape I've seen him in a long time. But wait, no. And Felipe Lins is 34, which I feel like, as for a fighter, you're kind of like still in your prime at 34. I think maybe 36, 37, you're really starting to really slow down. So I think Felipe takes that fight. I'm going to go with Felipe Lins. Got Carl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori. I think that's going to be a fucking good fight there. I'm going to go with Vettori. You got Ray Borg taking on Ricky Simone. Ooh, that's going to be a good fight. I'm going to go with Ray Borg. On there. You got Alexander Hernandez taking on Drew Dober. Has Hernandez fought since he lost to Cowboy? Oh, he fought Francisco Trinidaldo. Yeah, Francisco Trinidaldo. And he beat him by decision. I remember, so he was undefeated, right? No, he wasn't. He was not undefeated. He had lost once before in 2013, then went on a win streak. And then he faced Cowboy, and he was saying, like, yo, you're over the hill. I'm about to embarrass you. And then he ended up getting his ass beat by Cowboy. It's pretty embarrassing, pretty humbling. So the co-main event, no, it's not the co-main event. And Alexander Hernandez versus Drew Dober. Alexander Hernandez is 11-2. Drew Dober 22-9. I don't know too much about Drew Dober. He fought Nazarak. I'm not even going to try that last name. So I guess I should have seen this fight. If it was in the McGregor-Cerrone card, I should have seen that fight. Ngannou Dos Santos. I should have seen that fight too. So I should have seen a lot of his fights. I've seen these cards, but I'm just not too familiar with Drew Dober. I'm just gonna go with Hernandez. Why not? Why not? You got Ovin St. Preux moving up to heavyweight, right? He's not a heavyweight. I'm pretty sure. Like, isn't he the one who fought John Jones at 205? Like, I'm pretty sure he's the 205 guy. But he's moving up to heavyweight to take on Ben Rothwell out of Wisconsin. And just because I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, I gotta go with St. Preux. And he's black. So I'm going with St. Preux in there, hopefully with the Von Flue choke. Hopefully he gets Rothwell to the ground and hits him with that Von Flue. And that's my pick. I got St. Preux with the Von Flue in the second round. Then you got the main event, Anthony Smith taking on Glover Teixeira. I would say I got Anthony Smith in here. Definitely Anthony Smith. I'm a big Anthony Smith fan, and so maybe that makes me a little biased. I like Glover Teixeira too. I like Glover Teixeira. They both look bad against John Jones, but I don't know. John Jones be cheating. So you got Teixeira coming on a 3-fight win streak. He beat Carl Roberson, who's I mentioned before, Ian Cutelaba, and Nikita Krylov. Yeah, he's got a split decision victory, a submission victory, and another submission victory. But Anthony Smith's a black belt. I'm not worried about him in there with that. I got Anthony Smith winning by however means, my nigga. By any means necessary. That's how that nigga's winning. All right? He's winning the fight. All right? He's winning the fight. That's what's happening. So lastly here, this weekend, UFC 249, Tony Ferguson is taking on Justin Gaethje in the main event. And as I've said before, and I'm sticking to my prediction, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Gaethje will defeat Tony Ferguson and become the interim 155-pound champion, setting up a potential matchup with Khabib Nurmagomedov. I would assume so, ladies and gentlemen, but who knows? Who knows? In the co-main event, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see right here, but I'm wearing my Henry Cejudo Triple C t-shirt right now, ladies and gentlemen. We got Henry Cejudo taking on Dominick Cruz. And, you know, I was looking more into Dominick Cruz's fights, and it's like, all I would hear is like footwork, all this footwork. That's all I would hear about Dominick Cruz, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, Dominick Cruz fights like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like no disrespect, but Dominick Cruz fights like a bitch. Like this fucking jab and then run shit. Like I'm like, whoa, this is the footwork we're talking about? This fucking stiff jab run thing? Like Dominick Cruz fights like a bitch, and that's the footwork. But all right, I'm going with Henry Cejudo in this one. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Francis Ngannou. I'm going Ngannou with first round knockout. Sticking with that prediction. Calvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stevens. I'm going with Jeremy Stevens with second round knockout. Greg Hardy versus Jorgen De Castro. Greg Hardy, first round knockout. Anthony Pettis taking on Donald Cerrone in a rematch at 100. Wait. Is it 155 pounds? Where are they fighting at? I don't know. I thought I had weights here, and I just instead have the betting odds here. That's what I copy and pasted, the betting odds. And Anthony Pettis is the betting favorite, ladies and gentlemen, versus Donald Cerrone, as I was predicting. Let me look at this afterwards. Let me make these predictions. And then I'll look and see how well I placed up against the Vegas odds. Then you got, so I got Pettis winning that rematch. You got Verdum taking on Alexei Oleinik. I got Verdum winning that fight. Then you got Carla Esparza taking on Michelle Watterson. As I said before, I got Michelle Watterson. Then you got Jacare Souza taking on Uriah Hall. I'm hoping Uriah Hall can pull this off, but I don't think he will. Vicente Luque taking on Nico Price. I thought Nico Price was black. He's not. I don't know what kind of fight. I don't know who the fuck Nico Price is. I don't know why I thought he was black. I think last time when I talked about this card, I was like, I'm going with the black guy in here. And he's definitely not a black guy. He's definitely not a black guy. He beat he beat James Vick, which honestly doesn't mean anything to me. He lost to Jeff Neal, which... Jeff Neal's a beast. Beat Tim Means, okay. I don't know. Nico Price looks like a so-so fighter to me, even though he's 14-3. Usually those records get inflated in the minor leagues or in a lesser league before you make it to somewhere like the UFC, and then your true colors come out. I'm gonna go with Vicente Luque in there. All right, I'm gonna go with Luque. Then you got Charles Rosa taking on Bryce Mitchell. Of course, I'm going Bryce Mitchell in there by submission. Ryan Spann taking on Sam Alvey. Definitely going Ryan Spann in that one. And that is the 249 card coming up this weekend. I'm so happy that we're getting some sports, some live sports this weekend. I wanted to look at these odds. So I went with Justin Gaethje. Tony Ferguson is the favorite in that fight, so I'm going against the grain there. I went with Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo is the favorite in that fight, Vegas odds. I went with Francis Ngannou, and he is the favorite according to Vegas odds. I went with Jeremy Stevens, who is the underdog against Calvin Kattar. I would love to take that bet if I were a betting man. There's Greg Hardy, who is the favorite. That's who I took against Jorgen De Castro. I chose Anthony Pettis, who is the favorite against Donald Cerrone. I went with Vicente Luque, who is the heavy favorite against Nico Price. I went with Fabricio Verdum against Alexei Oleinik, and Verdum is the favorite, the heavy favorite in there, as I predicted. You got Jacare Souza taking on Uriah Hall. Souza is the slight favorite here, so I think my hesitation there on Hall is warranted, or at least backed. There's more people who feel that way, not warranted. Just because people agree with me doesn't mean I'm right in any way. Carla Esparza is the favorite against Michelle Watterson, and I think that's a mistake. If I was a betting man, I would definitely bet on Michelle Watterson in that one. You got Bryce Mitchell, who opens as the favorite against Charles Rosa, which I'm going with Bryce Mitchell in there by submission. And you got Ryan Spann opening as the heavy favorite against Sam Alvey. So I was pretty spot on with the Vegas odds there. And I think that's pretty cool. I think Tony Ferguson I think the hype of El Kukui is going to be over by the time you hear my voice for episode 38. I'll be coming to you. Maybe I'll be there to eat crow. But I think by the time I speak to you guys again on episode 38, Justin Gaethje will be, hopefully, if the fights actually happen, anything can happen in these days, it could be another outbreaks or whatever, and everything is shut down again, and maybe there's no fights the next time you hear me. But if there are fights, I would imagine that Justin Gaethje comes out on top. All right, that's what I would imagine. I'm rambling. I just got an email. It's like, oh, you have a new follower. I'm like, that's cool. I'm in the middle of recording this, and I get a new follower. That's pretty cool. On Podbean, got a new follower on Podbean. Thank you so much. I don't know who you are, and I'd have to log in and do all this nonsense. But Yeah, I'm going to get up out of here. Just want to say that my prediction is that Justin Gaethje will change the course. No one will ever get to see Tony Ferguson versus Khabib because Justin Gaethje will beat Tony Ferguson this Saturday at UFC 249 and end that whole discussion. So it is what it is with that. I mean, I wanted to see the fight as much as everybody else, but unfortunately, I don't think it will happen going forward after this fight. If you guys want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, it's at My Name's Jermaine. You can email the podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast like some great person just did at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, nigga, anywhere podcast stream. If you have Xbox One, go ahead and add a brother, SauceBoss414. You can check out the merch, teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. You can watch me play with myself, twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you want to be my patron, you want to check out the exclusive vlogs, exclusive music, exclusive whatever, my nigga. If you like it raw, go ahead and be my patron. Patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. And yeah, this is episode 37. Thank you guys for being here. It's been a fucking crazy, heavy MMA episode, and it should be because we're getting some MMA this weekend, and I'm real hype about it. So, yeah. Thank you guys for being here. It's episode 37. I'll see you guys next week. Stay safe. Peace.